Hey, Aaron, do you like
Yes, sir.
Hollywood Studios?
I like it. Yeah. Although I'd say it's probably my least favorite of the four parks right now.
Oh, you shut up. No, actually, no, I can see why. It's not the busiest park right now. I mean, it's about to be with Galaxy's Edge opening, but here today, here at the Mouse and Castle, we're here to discuss and really tell you what you can do to avoid the crowds. The stuff outside of Galaxy's Edge, our top 3 experiences at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Coming right up. It's being very NPR. I found this album that's like the Circle Sessions of Carthway Circle at Hollywood Studios. It's all like big band stuff of Disney. It's pretty great.
It's good. I like it. Yeah.
So Hollywood Studios, I've mentioned it briefly here before. It's my sort of sentimental favorite Disney park. Some of my favorite experiences and first few experiences at Disney were all here thanks to Star Wars weekends back in the day. I miss it. I miss it so much. Star Wars weekends back in the day. Always a great time. But I thought because it's my sentimental favorite, it would be a fun place to start when it comes to highlighting our sort of top experiences, our favorite. Like if you're going there, especially like the first time, what are the can't miss experiences? And we'll each kind of talk about them. And if we have the same one, we can we'll jump in on the discussion, Aaron. But I figure I'll toss it to you, sir, and have you kick us off.
All right. Well, Hollywood Studios, I think originally, like my first time going to Disney World, which was, I think, 1998, it was my favorite park back
Oh,
then. I just, it was, at the time, it was just more interesting to me, I think, at the age I was at than some of the other parks. But over the years, it kind of has gotten a little less interesting because it's, just the other parks have started to add new stuff, and this one seemed to be falling behind. But now they've added Toy Story Land. Now we have Galaxy's Edge coming. So I think this park is going to kind of rise back up and be, kind of alongside the other parks for me. But currently, there's not a lot that I get excited about when I go to Hollywood Studios as far as what rides I want to try to, get on. But there are some favorites here for me, classic wise. And I would say, I guess, first one I'll say is Rock and Roller Coaster.
okay. Wow. It's so good. It's so
Yeah, I'm
cheesy.
not a big Aerosmith fan.
It is so
So
freaking cheesy.
yeah, the whole the whole like the queue while you're waiting in the video they play and all that stuff, super cheesy. And hasn't aged well.
No, it is
So the
not.
theming, as far as Aerosmith goes, not a huge fan of, but the actual ride itself is a great ride. I love, across all the Disney parks, I tend to really like the more roller coaster type rides. And so, yeah, this one has always been a favorite. Definitely try to ride it anytime I'm there. I hope that they actually retain the ride, but re-theme it and kind of modernize it a bit. I think there's an opportunity there, and there has been rumors that they may do that eventually. But just the core ride itself, I think, is great.
Yeah, it just had, by the way, its 20th anniversary. It's been around. It's been around a hot second. That would make it on my honorable mentions. Actually, I thought about putting it if it was going to be in my top 3, but it was. It's right. It's right up there, but it couldn't quite squeeze it out. Mine is kind of Star Wars heavy.
Okay,
Even though
well
it's
that's good because I don't. Mine is Star Wars light, so we'll balance each other out.
well, because my number 3 is going to have to be, at no surprise, Star Tours. Now, of course, it's Star Tours, and I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so it makes sense. But I actually, I think this is one of my favorite, best ways to describe it. It's kind of a nauseating ride. It's which is funny because you can't ride it that many times. But I do remember specifically on one of those Star Wars weekends, we had like a bout of rain. There's a whole crew of Star Wars fans and podcasters and stuff that were hanging out for that particular Star Wars weekends, and it was like me, my buddy Steve Glosson, David Collins, randomly, guy, Lucasfilm type of guy, but like there's a whole group of people, and there's like this flash rain for like 30 minutes, but it emptied the park, and there's no line at all, and everyone just went Star Tours crazy and literally rode the ride like I want to say about like 5 times in a row. So the first time we did it, it was like, right, everybody gets off and like, do it again. And so the whole group of people does it. It's like enough to almost fill an entire Star Tours ride. And then we do it again the second time. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Let's do it again. That'd be crazy, right? 3 times. Woohoo. And then the 4th time, everyone's like, yeah, we're going to do it again. I was like, wait, really? Isn't the bit's over, right? We're doing it. Okay. So that's basically my experience, which I guess that may not describe why I like it. But of course, I just really like the immersion and just kind of traveling around and seeing the different locations. It's not very interactive or anything like that, but it has to make it. It's the classic kind of Hollywood Studios ride for me and my friends, Star Tours. The adventure continues because it reopened in 2011. I never went to the old one. I guess you did, right?
I did, yeah. I did ride the old one, and I got a chance to do the whole last tour on Endor that they did the big event around it closing. Nice. So it was like the last time you could ride it. They did that big event in conjunction with one of the celebrations, so I happened to go to that as well. So I've ridden the old version, I've ridden the new version. The reason why this didn't make my list, as big of a Star Wars fan as I am, and I would love to have this on my list, is the queasiness. I have an issue with this ride. I can't enjoy it because I get super queasy. So I've ridden it a lot because I want to see the different iterations of it. And that's one of the cool things about the ride is every time you ride it, it's a little bit different. Yeah. And it's really well done. But every time I get off that ride, I can't ride it more than once in a row or even across the whole of the day. I tend to just ride it once because otherwise I'd be queasy the rest of the day. So, yeah, didn't make my list because it's just not the type of ride. Those simulator rides don't tend to be my favorite.
Yeah, that's fair. Which is why it's kind of interesting. I can see why Smuggler's Run, it may not be like the Aaron Star Wars ride. I think Rise of Resistance is going to be much more your speed.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. All right, coming in at number 2 for Aaron Goins.
I'm going to say I'll go with a new ride here. I think Slinky Dog Dash is a big hit.
Oh, I haven't done it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's obviously one of the key things right now at Hollywood Studios is the Toy Story Land. That's what they're really trying to market right now and get people in before, Galaxy's Edge. And, I'd say overall as a whole, the Toy Story Land was a bit of a disappointment, but that ride, which I have only ridden once, but I did have to wait quite a while because we didn't have a fast pass, but it was a really, really good ride. It kind of reminds me of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of one of those kind of quick, very smooth and kind of quick turns and bumps and stuff like that, but not rickety at all. Yeah. And it has a great view right into Galaxy's Edge when you're at the top of the ride. So, yeah, I'd say that even though I've only ridden it once and it's a very new attraction, it's already going to be in my top 3.
Oh, wow. That's actually a surprise. I am a little bit surprised. But that definitely puts it at the top of my list when we go. Wow, coming up pretty soon for the Wine and Dine. We'll be at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, we got to try to get that.
Aaron, I hope you're ready. It's like it's becoming a whole thing. That trip. I don't know if this is the place. Yeah,
you'll have to explain more to me later.
My mom. I'll just lead with the headline. My mom is coming. Get ready.
Oh, okay.
No, Bethany, it's coming because it's coming a little bit of a mini Blanton family reunion where Bethany and my mom and possibly one of my other sisters will come down that weekend, which will be fun. That'll be a good time.
It's a great time to go to Disney World. I can't wait. I'm excited about
I'm hyped. Come down.
I wish you guys
early.
were going to be able to make it to the Halloween party. The Mickey's Not So Scary. That's going to be really cool. Because I think all the combined Mickey's Not So Scary and the race and the Wine and Dine, Food and Wine Festival. It's a great time of year to go to Disney World.
Come down a day early. Come on. Fly down Thursday. Anyway,
I haven't bought my plane tickets yet,
that means he can be convinced, ladies and gentlemen. It just means text to Vic is what needs to happen. No, so all right, so very bad, but I digress. I digress. I'll jump in my number 2, which I'm going to a classic here. I imagine it might be on yours, although who knows? Tower of Terror. I just love this ride. I love the Guardians Breakout version, which I actually think is a bit better. But I also love the Tower of Terror, of course, themed after the Twilight Zone. But it's like this really classic Disney ride experience that's also a freaking awesome drop ride, where you just feel alive when you're on this ride. Because you feel like you're dying, but you also feel alive. It's a very hard to describe. I'd never been on a drop ride before this, before being on this, and I've kind of become an adrenaline junkie, at least in terms of this. It's 13 stories down an elevator shaft, so it's a lot. Especially, my favorite is when it peaks up at the very, very top, and there's a window where you can see down over the whole park. And then, of course, you drop all the way down to the end. It's just awesome. It's always a long line, though. It's very popular, so I only really recommend doing it with a fast pass.
Yeah, and you can catch certain times of the day where it's not as bad as far as the line goes.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah.
Is it my turn?
Let's hit it. Number 1.
Because I will. I'm going to agree with you on this. Tower of Terror, man.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Mostly because it terrifies me.
Really?
This drop rides terrify me. The feeling of falling terrifies me. And because of the respect for that, I have to give this one the number 1 ranking, because I've had entire times that I'll go to Disney World and I won't even ride it just because I know how scared I am. But I end up getting talked into it.
You do, mostly by me and our friends.
Yeah. And every time I do, I'm always happy I get talked into it, because it is just such an adrenaline rush. And like you were describing, when you hit that top and you see out that window across the whole park, it's like one of the best things you can do at Disney World.
Yeah.
And I think the Guardians version is my preferred version. I like all the changes that they did with the video.
For sure.
Kind of as you're popping up and you see different scenes, and it kind of distracts you from the fear of the falling a little bit more than this one, where you're just in the dark. But both versions are amazing. And I always have to apologize to whoever's sitting next to me, because I tend to just reach out and grab somebody's hand or, their knee or something as I'm like
just have
falling.
Just a little moment.
Yeah. So, and of course they take the picture, on that first drop. So there's a lot of pictures out there of me in just the complete terrified face. So yeah.
No, nice. I like it. It's just a classic. I also like it's probably worth mentioning, and one reason I think it's a must go to if you're going to Hollywood Studios is the layout of the park. I really like the way you kind of take a stroll down Sunset Boulevard, kind of out of the way of the rest of the park, and the classic Hollywood feel really hits in that part of the park. And of course with the hotel's 1940s theme of like of Hollywood, Tower Hotel. It just the theme kind of fits nicely. That's probably the most Hollywood Studios feeling part of Hollywood Studios these days, I would say.
Yeah, and there's been rumors that they may retheme it kind of the way they did, because the one in California, the Guardians of the Galaxy one, used to be the same kind of ride as Tower of Terror, and they rethemed it. So there's been rumors that they may retheme this one as well. I really hope that they don't. I really hope they keep this one the way it is, and keep it classic.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, that kind of works well. We had some overlap there, and then I guess I'll bring in my number 1, which I think is the only non-ride experience. But I have to go to, and I sort of, by getting such a great seat for the like a happily ever after fireworks show at Disneyland. Or sorry, Step Into the Magic. I confused the titles of the two. But the fireworks show right at the end of the night really kind of sold me on that is the way to experience the parks. Because I hadn't really done that before. Really the first time. I mean, I guess I'd seen a few times the Star Wars one at Hollywood Studios, which is what I'm about to talk about. Spoiler alert. But the Christmas / fall celebration with the snow that we went to last year, I want to say it was like in November last year when you flew out, Aaron. That was, I mean, It's just magical, and that's why I have to bring up to the top. If we're talking Hollywood Studios, we're talking about the Star Wars Galactic Spectacular, Nighttime Spectacular, which is they right on the Chinese theater. They project a bunch of the Star Wars saga, fireworks, lasers, projections, everything you'd kind of typically expect from a Disney fireworks show, but it's all Star Wars. So as the Star Wars guy, it's just awesome. And these days they do such a great flow, blending all of the Star Wars films from the prequels all the way through the original trilogies all the way to the current stuff, and I love how the show pays tribute to the whole saga instead of just featuring the recent Disney films. And so it's just a great way to end the night. And if you're gonna go to Hollywood Studios, I'm putting this in the can't miss category.
And they kind of mix things up with the kind of late night fireworks shows there at Hollywood Studios, probably more so than they do with the other parks.
Yeah.
Because I know they did like a movies one for a while, and I think they're switching over to like an animated kind of themed one I don't know if it's already started or it's going to be starting soon. And then of course they have the Star Wars themed one too. So you can kind of see a lot of different versions of the nighttime fireworks show there.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
No, it's and I mean some of my fondest memories back from Star Wars weekends are the fireworks spectacular. It's just a lot of fun.
Right.
I'm pulling it up on the site because I'm wondering if it's still active. Yeah, no. So Galactic Spectacular is still running currently. A night.
I wonder because I know when we were at Disneyland and we went to Galaxy's Edge, they did the Disneyland fireworks. And, you could see them over where the Falcon's located. So it was almost like it was planned that way, or it probably was. But as far as there being some sort of a fireworks show going on in Galaxy's Edge, and we kind of commented that it was weird that there was no music. But I haven't heard anything about like the Disney World version of Galaxy's Edge. And if they're going to incorporate the fireworks, the nighttime show that happens at Hollywood Studios, where you can see that from Galaxy's Edge and what that looks like, if it's going to be the same, thing. Because I think the way that it's laid out, that would be a little bit different. I don't think that you would be able to see the fireworks kind of in the same way over the Falcon.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see. So, I mean, it opens really soon, and, we
should find out soon.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how much of the Star Wars stuff going on with Launch Bay and the Galactic Spectacular and all the marches that they do at Hollywood Studios, if they're going to start to slowly phase that stuff out and really just focus on the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to bring this episode of the Mouse Castle podcast to a close. Crazy, right? That was fun. I like kind of hitting our favorites. There's a lot. There's actually...
Yeah. You have any honorable mentions? A couple honorable mentions?
Yeah, I feel we can tag the show with that, right? Because there's a lot of great experiences. I think the one that I kind of was torn about was Rock and Roller Coaster for me. That was definitely a big one. I'm trying to think of what else.
The Indiana Jones stunt spectacular is
yeah.
kind of like one of those, it's been there forever. I saw it the first time I went to Disney World. I saw it the last time I went to Disney World. And they really haven't changed it. I think that's another thing. There's a lot of rumors about them phasing out eventually, but that one's just kind of like a bit nostalgic for me. And I loved the first time my kids got to see it. It was fun too.
Yeah, that's got to be an honorable mention. Let's see, the Toy Story Mania. That's up there. I don't know that it's a must see, but it's up there as well. I think so. But you know what? Actually, here's what I'd like to do. There's a couple. I found this great article. I'll link to it if you want to read the whole thing. But there's a couple honorable mentions I wanted to hit, and I started to forget about it right as I was about to end the show, and then I remembered. But there's two here I want to hit with you that, for me, there's no good reason this should be on the list, right? Like, this is not a must-see at all. However, there's like my favorite little Easter eggs at Hollywood Studios for me personally. And the first one's Pizza Planet. Pizza Planet's the bomb. Uh-huh. It's the place to go just to grab a quick, cheap bite of food in this like ancient 1950s themed diner. And there's a video blog from a year or two ago when we were there, and we snuck in because it was technically closed, but they left one of the doors open. So we took our food up there, and they had the whole place to ourselves. And we had Pizza Planet is great.
Yeah, you do know that they closed it, right?
Oh, that's right.
To break that news to you.
No, I knew this. I just had literal like re-flashbacks because I remember this being announced, and then I'd forgotten that it was announced. I'm so sad.
They replaced it with another pizza place, and they actually have some pretty cool little Easter egg shout-outs to the original.
Screw this new place. I don't like it.
But yeah, I agree. That was one of my favorite places to go
It
as
was
well.
my hideout. Also, it was one of the few
Back
places
in the
that there are
day.
outlets where you won't be disturbed, where there are power outlets to charge your phone.
Yeah, it was in like kind of a quieter part of the park too. You know, you could kind of go there and chill and
Mm-hmm.
sit in the upper level of the restaurant and kind of relax if you wanted to. Yeah, I do miss it, but
Yeah.
hey, things, they got to update, they got to change.
I've
how
got
people
two
coming
more.
back.
I've got two more, but I should ask you, Aaron. Any specific like random things that you like that are just like little personal favorites?
I think the first time in forever Frozen sing along is really fun, especially if you're there with your kids.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's really good, and they tend to have some pretty good, cast members that are doing the show, and they're really funny, and they kind of ad lib a little bit, but then they also sing the songs, and then at one point, it snows in the theater. You know, they do the whole snow thing and it snows under
nice.
the crowd, which my kids just absolutely loved.
Oh.
So yeah, I'd say that's definitely a honorable mention for me because if I'm there with my kids, I'm not missing that show.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, I'll check it out. But for me, I've got two more that I want to hit. One is the speeder bike. No, random. But I always
The
love
photo
like
op, which is also gone.
it's the speeder bike photo op. But yeah, they did take that down recently. I did know that. But that was one of my favorites.
Why are you picking stuff that's
I
gone,
know,
Riley?
I know. All right, so this one's not gone, and they better damn well not take it away. All right, it's the Singing in the Rain umbrella. Have you seen this? Do you-
I don't know if I am familiar with that.
So as you're heading up the streets of America, there's a street pole with an umbrella just like Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
Most people don't even notice it. Like it's right there, but you can like recreate that little scene from Singing in the Rain, and I love it. It's very, very, again, getting back to the Hollywood Studios part of Hollywood Studios. I really enjoy that. And I think that is worth mentioning right here at the end is that I really do like the classic Hollywood MGM, if you will, design and layout and vibe of the park. And I do think it's kind of lost some of that in the excitement of, they just kind of rebranded the logo for Hollywood Studios, and they're really pushing it as like, this is the Star Wars place and the Pixar place, and I guess other than the main street and Sunset Boulevard, Streets of America's kind of gone to the wayside, making room for Galaxy's Edge, because that's where the entrance to the Galaxy's Edge is over there. So I think that's one part of Hollywood Studios that does make me a little sad about all these changes, as much as I'm thrilled about Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and I think there's room for it all. I mean, I hope they don't change Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset Boulevard. I love the feel of that, and it kind of has a similar feel like when you to Magic Main Street. It kind of has that similar feel with all the shops and stuff there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's room for it all because I think with Galaxy's Edge coming in, it's going to bring increased interest into the park. So it's a good thing. And it's separated enough from the rest of the stuff that I don't think it's going to ruin that feel that you get when you first walk into the park.
Yeah. No, I think so. We'll see. I think we have lost some, but they are going to preserve those main areas, hopefully. And the 50s sci-fi diner, and there'll be some other things like that that'll stay kind of classic Hollywood themed. But I mean, that's really been inevitable ever since they went away from the old MGM Studios backlot tour type stuff, and that's been gone for a long time. So this has kind of been a long time coming in that way too.
Yeah, and they had the Mickey Sorcerer's hat that was in the middle for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I believe that the first time I went, that was there. So that's kind of all I knew. And then when they said they were going to take it down, I was actually a little disappointed. A lot of people were happy they were taking it down because it hadn't always been there, but it was all I knew. And so it was kind of nostalgic for me. And then I was sad. But then now that it's gone, I'm like, I totally get why they took it out. It actually does really improve the sight lines, and it makes it look so much better. So sometimes they make these changes and we kind of hold on to our favorites, or we hold on to things that we're nostalgic about. But, in the long run, it's usually for the better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to bring officially the wraps on this episode of the Mouse and Castle podcast. Aaron, good times. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I was just like
man.
waltzing right past it. Literally before we started recording, I'm like, oh, there's these Easter eggs I definitely want to mention. Then I was like, oh yeah, we're not. No, we're not. No, those are some of those little Easter eggs are the most fun I've had at the parks. That's I think the other important thing to recognize is that, nothing about what I love about the Disney parks is tied to a ride, like a specific ride or something like that. If you were going to Disney just for roller coasters, just go across the street to Universal. Hey, tossing shade. Right. But no, seriously, like that's really the level of attention to detail of guest experience is what fosters what makes Disney special. It's not what makes Disney special. What makes Disney special is experiencing it with friends, but I think that's so special because of how much they really cater every little detail of the guest experience. So, I mean, that's why we're Disney nerds and not Universal nerds or Six Flags nerds or something like that. So, man, Aaron, point people where to go.